What is up, everyone? It's Thomas with Row Broker here in St. Augustine, Florida, coming at you live every Wednesday at 8 p.m., going over the market stats, news you know about, think about buying, selling, or investing here in Northeastern Florida. And we're also doing a Q&A. So if you have any questions about any of the stats, any of the news that I cover, or just something that you're interested in particular about St. Augustine, leave them in the comments below, and I'll get to them while we're doing the live stream, or I'll come back and answer them in the comments. So it seems like I'm having some technical difficulties with my streaming software. It's very frustrating, but I'd like to be streaming to Facebook and Instagram as well. It seems to keep failing every single week. Before I got on here today, reset the app, put updates in, restarted my computer, all the good stuff, and it's still not working. So very, very frustrating. But either way, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about some market stats because that's way more interesting. All right, so we got seasonality. And this is really just going to break it down between pending sales, median sale price, and active listings. And this blue line right here is the historical trend. So when you're taking a look here, this just averaged out throughout every single year we've had data available to pull from. And then this is this year. So we've been talking about active listings going up very quickly, but it does seem like that they've kind of reached a peak, or at least for now, and has started to cool off as we head over to the holiday season. And that, as you can see, tends to happen. It tends to start to decline. Because in reality, once it gets around November, December, not a whole bunch of people want you walking through their home. Then we take a look at pending sales, and pending sales, though we're above the historical average, you also got to think we have more people than the historical average, so this should be above. You can see that it's trending downwards. You can see this little asterisk here. More than likely, the data might come up where this will probably get revised a little bit higher, but how much higher, I don't know. But pending sales are declining faster than seasonal trend normally declines, but lower rates could help, which we've seen in these past couple months. We're now pretty much at 2025 lows in terms of rates. Rates around like 6.22%. So we'll see how that works out. And also builders also offer some pretty great incentive towards the end of the year. Seasonality, median sale price. Okay, so we've talked about this before, how median sale price has been kind of lagging this year. Typically, we see it climb, good clip, and then peter off towards the end of the year here. And as we can see, it's gone sideways, hasn't really done much, and I don't think that's any surprise considering the year that we've had. Not only with recovering from the housing crisis, which I still think we're in, but also the economy, tariffs, all that kind of stuff, war. So it doesn't really surprise me that we see those numbers. So any questions about that, guys, let me know in the comments below. Let me know where you're watching from too. Love to hear that. I was just had a closing today with a family who sold their home up in New York, and they'd been watching me for over a year at this point, which is really interesting. They said that the live streams are one of their favorite things to watch. So really like to hear where you guys are watching from. Any questions about what we cover here, throw them in the comments below. We're going to go on to the next news story. Let me share my screen here. All right, U.S. homebuilder sentiment. What the heck? These freaking ads. Hits 6-month high. Economy uncertainty clouds housing outlook. So, kind of piggybacking off what we were just saying is that, hey, interest rates have gone down, so U.S. homebuilder sentiment has gone up, and it's a 6-month high. It's not high at all. I mean, I think it's like 38. I think it is, and it's supposed to be 50. Which is the break-even point. So not really anything to write home about, but the best for the past 6 months, and that's probably because all these builders are typically, to incentivize buyers buying these massive rate packages so that they can offer any buyer like, hey, we're going to buy this down ahead of time, and then we're going to offer it to you, the buyer, and you can buy this home for 4.99 or 4.5%, or even lower in some cases. So whenever that starts to go down a little bit, then they're not buying as much, right? Because like if it's 6.5 and they're buying it to 4.99, that's a bigger spread than if it's 6.2 or if it's 6%. So they're probably getting a better deal on that, which then would just increase their profit margin. Maybe they just offer a deeper incentive to people to buy, right? Because I've even heard in my area that builders are laying off people, right? So there's definitely some blood in the water when it comes down to it. And you can find some really great deals with new construction in our area right now, because well, not just new construction, but the market in general is slow, right? Um, so you can get a good deal out here, which is awesome for buyers. And if you're selling, you just need to be really realistic and listen to your real estate agent, or at least hire a good one. All right, on to the next news story here, guys. All right, so we always do a national news story, then we try to go to a state news story, and then we go to local stuff. So once again, piggybacking on that, so real estate boomtowns are going bust. Now you'll hear about, you read some of these places here, and they're talking about like Austin, Tampa, Phoenix, Atlanta, where a ton of people moved during the pandemic. And we've seen really the Sun Belt in general just hurting, right? Florida's included in that. And some areas, like South Florida, have seen prices go down 10%, right? Whereas like here, prices, I mean, I can just pull this up. Let me just pull this real quick. So as of right now, we're up 1.4% from this time last year, but you can see we've kind of just like, all right, the peak of the market was May, June of 2022, 375. So it's gone down since then, but it always goes down towards the end of the year anyway. But it really hasn't gone anywhere else. We didn't see the peak this year. We saw 375 again, or 380 in 2024. Now this is the entire area. Let me take a look at St. Johns County real quick, just so we can check that box. See, in St. Johns County, I mean, I've covered it like the other month. It was down drastically from 529. But typically, we see our highest pricing during the summer. But we're up this time last year 1.5%. And kind of the same thing, right? We're seeing bigger price swings from summer to winter to summer to winter, but it seems to just be like hovering around this point here, right? It's not really changing. Almost, you can see like it kind of bottoms out around this number here. So right when we get around 500 or 480, things seem to pick back up, at least over these past couple of years. Will that continue in the future? Hard to say. So, that was, sorry, I want to go back to that news story. My mistake here, guys. So every area is different, but the one interesting thing is that in the Midwest and the Northeast, their markets are still very strong. I've helped several people relocate from the Northeast and the Midwest, and when they have to sell their house, it's just like, okay, I'm going to put it on the market. I expect it to be under contract in the next 2 weeks, whereas the market here is not that right now. So a lot of them are taking advantage of a seller's market and coming down here in a buyer's market and winning on both ends, which is fantastic for them. But it's just a different world altogether. And then even we're different than South Florida. South Florida seems to be really hurting, whereas North Florida seems to kind of be just in like a normal real estate market. Could we have more closings? 100%. Closings are down everywhere, even in the Northeast. But we'll see what happens, right? Who knows? On to the next news story here, guys. I share my screen. This is one of the biggest infrastructure projects that St. Johns County, actually it is the biggest infrastructure project. St. Johns County, $192 million water reclamation facility, now 75% complete. So this is going off of State Road 207. I believe this is in Hastings. The water facility will treat 3.25 million gallons of wastewater daily, and the main goal is to prevent pollutants from entering the Matanzas River. So they're about 75% complete, according to a release from the county. And then once it's operational, it will provide 100% reclaimed water for irrigation and other non-potable uses. It will be completed by summer 2026, which will help St. Johns County comply with State Senate Bill 64, which mandates the elimination of non-beneficial surface water discharges of treated wastewater into surface water. So, this is a good thing. And then in general, what they say is going to happen is that this will help preserve the aquifer that we have. It's a finite but essential source of high quality drinking water. I don't know about the high quality part, but with us using the potable water, we're going to preserve that aquifer for many years to come, is what they're saying. So I covered this several years ago. I thought this was going to be a big win, for the area, just because we need clean drinking water, right? But it's a big infrastructure project. It's the biggest one St. Johns County has. So any questions about that, guys? Let me see. We got nothing, nada. All right, on to the next stuff. And this one's kind of a lighthearted one, but if you've ever been to the Purple Olive, they are opening. Purple Olive is kind of a locally famous restaurant here. They are moving into the old Gypsy Cab Company space, which is about a mile south of the bridge in Anastasia Island. And I saw some, I don't know if they have the pictures up on here. I saw them on Instagram. See if I can pull them up real quick. But it looks really, really cool. Let's see, purple. Whoop. Let's see if they put it up here. Yeah. So they did pretty much a full remodel of the place. Looks really nice. Really excited. I'm excited. I think it's opening October 24th. So I'm excited to check it out. This is right in Anastasia Island. So they're going to be bringing a lot of the classics that they're known for. But they also have a relationship with the former Gypsy Cab chef who said, like, hey, you can use some of my recipes too. So you'll still have some of that local Gypsy Cab flair, which I know a lot of people loved. So they had great salads there too. A side note, it was just they had really good salads there. Okay, I got a couple more news stories here. We're going to switch over to Palm Coast too, which I think there's some really good stuff coming for Palm Coast. Super excited about this because I've been talking about it on my channel for years. So not that I have any sway, but it does seem like there are some changes coming to the city of Palm Coast. Now let's take a look over here. This is the last thing we have in St. Johns County. I might have covered this on my live stream last week, but it also got cut off, technical difficulties, not sure what the heck's going on. But either way, this went through, sold for $7.1 million. The locals of Marineland, all 15 of them, are concerned about what it's going to be. Obviously, they want it to stay what it is, and hopefully that the Delightful Development company that owns it now will keep it that way. But probably won't, and probably do a combination of a tourist commercial development in its place. Obviously, the people that live there aren't going to be super stoked on that because it kind of changes the fabric of what Marineland is. But then you also have the other people that are like, hey, like the place is kind of small and we're keeping dolphins in there, and that's what they say here is like, hey, this place is pretty small and we're keeping dolphins, and like apparently there were 17 dolphins, then 4 passed away. And then there was another viral clip on like Instagram or social media that came by and said like, hey, look at the living condition of these dolphins. And obviously the place went bankrupt. So, it's like, why beat a dead horse? Like, hey, they had a dolphin adventure there for many, many years and they went bankrupt. Do we think pumping a whole bunch of money into it after he spent $7 million on it to start up a dolphin adventure is going to happen? Probably not. I don't know. Maybe I'm just unrealistic. I don't know. Either way, guys, what do you think about that? I think that where that is on the beach is such a quiet area that like the only way to really like maintain the lifestyle for the people that live there would be to do something like a beach club, like private resort, like a higher end type of thing. Because if it's higher end, then obviously most people can't afford it. But also then it keeps it low key. You don't have a whole bunch of people there. It's probably what the guy spent $7 million on it for. I don't know. But we'll see. Maybe I can interview him if he's watching this. Let's do that. I'd do it. I haven't done an interview in a while. All right, now we're over to Palm Coast. Now, this is like this funny headline. Like, with grave concerns about traffic, Palm Coast just decides to approve shopping rezoning that'll add thousands of cars on SR 100, which is like the main drag in the southern part of Palm Coast. It's going to be just west of the BJ's Wholesale Shopping Center, with the future Flagler Landing Shopping Center property to the left, where all the trees are. That development, likely to add a Walmart as the next big box store, is expected to bring more than 3,000 daily car trips to the corridor. So, Palm Coast is growing, and that's because like what you get for your money in Palm Coast is pretty awesome. And really, if you're just looking for like a suburban, quiet place to live, Palm Coast offers that. Does it have like the entertainment and the nightlife that St. Augustine does, or Daytona or Flagler Beach has? No, it doesn't, but you're pretty close to all those things. You're in a suburb of those areas, so it's pretty sweet. But it has been growing rapidly. We've been seeing things like this building all over Palm Coast, a lot different than it was just 5 years ago. And it's adding more people to the roads. In general, there's just more people moving there. That's because the affordability in northeastern Florida. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't think. I don't live in Palm Coast. I travel on this road a good bit because I do a good bit of business in Palm Coast. I never felt like the traffic was terrible, but also, like, if someone's lived there for 20 years and they're comparing it to, oh, when I moved here 20 years ago, it's going to be worse, right? But I never really thought it was bad. I don't know. I'm just I'm in the pockets of the developer. I'm not in the pockets of developers, guys. They don't pay me any money. That's why I live stream on Wednesdays, so I can get people to buy and sell houses with me. All right, next one for you. We got one more, and that's it, guys. So this is also dealing with Palm Coast. You may soon park your commercial vehicle in residential driveways as Palm Coast votes to relax restrictions. I think they voted to approve a vote. I think that's right. Divided Palm Coast City Council voted 3-2 to approve on first reading the change to what had been one of the more vexing restrictions for trade workers and for the council, which has wrestled with the restriction on several occasions since 2010, always stopping short of altering it until now. So, if you don't know, if you have any type of commercial vehicle branding on your car, then you cannot park it in the driveway in Palm Coast, outside of, like, hey, if you're on a service call for like a plumber or electrician or something like that. If you're coming back to your house and you want to park in your residential development, you have to park your car in your garage if it has commercial stickers on it, or you need to cover your vehicle, which cover your vehicle with like a tarp. I don't know if that looks any better than the commercial branding. But that's how it is in Palm Coast, right? The city acts as kind of like a giant HOA and restricts you on doing certain things. It's very frustrating for a lot of people that live there. But on the other hand of that, there's people who want it that way, right? And they're like, no, I want this place to look a certain type of way, and that's why Palm Coast is as good as it is today. So I can't argue with that because Palm Coast is very uniform. Really, there's not a big difference between all the different sections of Palm Coast. Outside of like age, in house, and maybe like location to Palm Coast Parkway or 100, they're pretty much all the houses are relatively the same, and like condition, like there's not like a negative area of Palm Coast, I would say. And then you have like the C section and part of the F section, which is on the water, which is like that's completely different than everything else in Palm Coast. But for the most part, outside of like the waterfront stuff, it's pretty regular. So either way, guys, that's all we got. We got Timmy boy from BC, Canada. Man, British Columbia, huh? Must be getting cold up there, Timmy. Appreciate you chiming in here today. We have a lot of people always towards the end of the year that are like, I'm not, and this may not be Timmy, I have no idea, but they're like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing another winter. I'm moving down. We're doing it right now, and I want a place either for the winter so I can get out of the cold up there and come down here, or I'm just moving altogether. We see a lot of that, so I wonder if Timmy's one of those people. But guys, that's going to be it. Appreciate you being here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. We go over the market stats, news you know about, everything about buying, selling, or investing here in northeastern Florida, and we do a Q&A. We didn't have any questions or anything today. Covered some good news stories, but here every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Catch you next week, guys. Have a good one.